You good? All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Darren McCormack. I'm the acting special agent in charge for Homeland Security investigations here in New York. We are here today to announce a sweeping indictment via the Southern District of New York, charging 27 alleged Tren de Aragua gang members with charges ranging from racketeering, sex trafficking, narcotics, robbery, carjacking, and firearms-related offenses. This impactful case is the result of an investigation led by HSI New York's Violent Gang Task Force and New York City Police Department, with the invaluable assistance of the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Southern District of New York, ICRO, ATF, New York, and CBP. HSI New York's Violent Gang Task Force has been at the forefront of TDA-related investigations nationwide. Today you'll be hearing from Border Czar Tom Homan, followed by New York City Mayor Eric Adams, NYPD Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, and New York City Deputy Mayor for Public Safety Kaz Daughtry. We are also joined today by HSI New York Deputy Special Agent in Charge James Manning, who oversees the National Security and Public Safety Division. We will not be taking questions related to this specific investigation due to its ongoing nature. However, Mr. Homan will remain after the formal press conference to take any policy-related questions. Now I'm honored to welcome Border Czar Tom Homan to the podium to speak more about the significant milestone in HSI's ongoing efforts to combat transnational criminal organizations, specifically TDA.
All right, so 27 TDA charged, 21 in custody, looking for 6 others are on the run. Every member of TDA should be on the run because the Trump administration is committed to removing every single member of TDA and MS-13 from this country. Trump administration has been serious from day one. We're going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. And the results of our collaboration, 27 TDA members, and look at the weapons in front of you. This is what collaboration looks like. This is why I've been working with Mayor Adams since November. I never asked the city, NYPD to be immigration officers. I asked them to work with us on significant public safety threats and national security threats, and that's what we're committed to doing. I was a little disappointed yesterday and read that there's a lawsuit holding up our Rikers Island memorandum of understanding with less federal agents in Rikers Island to do more of what you see in front of you. Identifying terrorists, TDA members, MS-13 members are in custody of Rikers Island. When they're done with them, hand over to ICE, and we can do more of the investigation, prosecution, and removal of these dangerous gangs. I hope the people who follow the lawsuit sees this press conference today. What you see today is a result of collaboration between local and federal law enforcement. I'm thankful to NYPD for helping this investigation. HSI, you've done an outstanding job. U.S. Marshals involved. This is what law enforcement is about. This is the result you get when cops work with cops. Bottom line, I think the judges, hopefully the judges watching, the judges hearing this lawsuit, that collaboration works. It keeps the city of New York safer. No one can argue. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. No one can argue what happened here in the last several months that resulted in 27 TDA being indicted. No one can argue that doesn't make the streets of New York safer. My home state. This is what we're all, everybody on the stage, we all want New York City to be even safer than it is today. And the way we do that, we remove public safety threats, especially national security threats, public safety threats out the street in New York. If they're in the country illegally, they commit a serious crime, they should not be free to roam the street. So the lawsuit basically says we want these type of people that we just indicted to walk out of Rikers Island every day, rather than working with ICE, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals, work with federal law enforcement to help remove these public safety threat, illegal alien terrorists from the country. TDA, MS-13, but designated terrorist organizations, and that is our goal, to remove everyone from this country. President Trump's been clear. I support President Trump. He made a promise to America he's going to make this country safe again. And today you see one small step, and many more steps to come to make this country safe and help Mayor Adams and the police commissioner in any way we can to rid this city of illegal alien public safety threats and national security threats. I keep saying those two things because that's what we are focusing on. Everybody can look at the data. I looked at data this morning. ICE has just over 60,000 interior arrests in the United States, most of them criminals. And let me say this one thing to the city of New York. When you have a sanctuary city policy, there are sanctuaries for criminals. When ICE officers, HSI officers have to go into the community to arrest a bad guy, a public safety threat, a national security threat, that means more officers in your neighborhoods. That means more collateral arrests. Because when we find the bad guy, which we will, many times he's with others who are in the country illegally. Well, they're coming too. So sanctuary cities get exactly what they don't want: more agents in the neighborhood and more collateral arrests. Work with us. Give us access to the person that you locked in a jail cell, because they're obviously a public safety threat. That's all we're asking. Mayor Adams is trying to get that done. He's a law and order mayor. Simply wants to give access to the people that were locked up that are public safety threats and national security threats. It's simple. It's logic. So I'm really happy about this event today. So maybe the naysayers will see what collaboration looks like, what the results look like. This city is safer today because the men and women standing on the stage and men and women in the back of the room wearing those uniforms. They put on the line for the city every day, just like NYPD does. Every day they strap a gun to their hip, wear a Kevlar vest to make this city safer. We want to do it in partnership. And that's my goal. That's President Trump's goal. And hopefully we can get it done. So thank you. And right now I want to introduce the New York Mayor, Mayor Adams.
Thank you so much, Board of Czar, and thank all of the men and women who put their lives on the front line every day. And really want to thank Special Agent in Charge, Acting Special Agent in Charge, McCormick, for your team. And as the Board of Czar stated, was the mission of the presidential administration, I want to be clear on my mission. My mission is to rid every one of these dangerous gangs from our city. I'm unapologetic about it. That mission was pre-election. It's the same post-election. And every law enforcement agency on the city, state, and federal level is part of that partnership. And when you start to attack law enforcement agencies for doing their jobs, you're insulting the men and women who have placed their lives on the front line to address the issue. The question that we must answer: whose side are you on? Are you on the side of those who are carrying these illegal guns, wreaking havoc, sex trafficking, harming innocent people, regardless of their documentation? Or are you on the side of hard-working New Yorkers and Americans? I'm clear on which side I'm on. I'm on the side of those who are protected as a cop, say senator, borough president, and now the mayor of the city of New York. That's the side I'm on, and I'm clear on it. And I'm not apologizing for going after those who carry these illegal guns, wreaking havoc on communities. And so those who want to romanticize these characters and make it seem like they are here just to be part of the American dream is not doing armed robberies. The American dream is not discharging guns. The American dream is not shooting at police officers. The American dream is not going into homeless shelters and taking the documentations from innocent people and forcing them into sex trafficking. That's not the American dream. And we're not going to be a safe harbor for criminals. That's who this group is. And hats off to the entire team. Hats off to Homeland Security, HSI. Hats off to ICE. Hats off to NYPD. Hats off to the FBI. Hats off to those who are part of this collaboration to take dangerous people off our streets. Dangerous people. No regard for who they shoot at and what they do to carry out their actions. And today's gang takedown is another victory for safety and law enforcement in our city. The defendants include members of the notorious Tren de Aragua. And let me tell you something. I won't have a tequila drink with a gang member. I won't be hanging out with them and hugging them, acting like they are victims. They are not victims. They create victims by their actions. a transnational criminal gang based in Venezuela that has terrorized people in their own country and here in America. When I was telling the acting special agent in charge when I was in Ecuador, people were stating, we don't want to leave Ecuador, but we've been run out of Ecuador because of the gangs that are in our country. Then they came here, and you know what they saw? They saw some of the same gang member representations as symbols of gang members. Speaking to the police commissioner this morning, we are amazed that we've been able to keep down crime at the level that we have been able to. And it's because we prevented them with our law enforcement, federal partners in city and state. We prevented them from taking a stronghold and foothold in our city, and we're going to continue to do that. And as a former police officer, I was horrified and I was disgusted on January 27, 2024, when police officers, 2 NYPD police officers, were attacked in Times Square. That was a symbol of a total disregard for the law enforcement community of this country, not only of this city. The senseless assault on our officers kick-started the investigation we are talking about today. When I spoke with Chief Shell and Deputy Mayor Daughtry, who was an assistant commissioner at the time, I said, this can't happen in our city. And we need to find everyone that's responsible for it. Because if you attack the symbol of public safety, a man or woman who's wearing that police uniform, you're attacking the stability of our country. And I said, find them and send a strong message. And today, we found them and we brought them to justice in the process. But this is just not about one incident. These gang members were trained to shoot and kill cops. Trained to shoot and kill cops. But it's more than their training. They carried out the actions. We saw in 115th precinct on June 3rd, 2024, one officer was shot in his bulletproof vest and the other in the leg. He was already indicted. The shooter was already indicted for that shooting in Queens County and now faces additional federal charge. The 27 people in these incidents, these indictments are accused of unbelievable criminal behavior. And they have been charged with firearm offenses, racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking conspiracy, alien importation conspiracy, and drug trafficking conspiracy. They were forcing women into sex trafficking, forcing them into sex trafficking. Thanks to this hard work of the NYPD, HSI, Violent Gang Task Force, and other federal partners, Tren de Aragua has never had a chance to take a foothold in this city. And because we have secured our border, we're seeing less come in with illegal activities into our city. The numbers don't lie, folks. The numbers don't lie. I know the side that I'm on. And each and every time they attempt to establish a presence in our city, we have taken them down. And we will continue to fight violent transnational crimes with the full force of the law. And in 2025 alone, we have taken down 5 long-term cases related to Tren de Aragua with 42 case subjects and more than 100 guns. This is just an example of what we were able to accomplish. In this specific indictment we are discussing today, case subjects are in custody, finally unable to do any more harm to our city and our nation. Now it's time to keep them incarcerated and not the revolving door system that we've witnessed, allowing them to come out over and over again, inflicting violence on our communities. Law enforcement is doing its job. That's one part of the criminal justice apparatus. The other aspects of the criminal justice apparatus, they must do their job. Keep dangerous people off our streets after we take them off our streets. This case resulted in the seizure of 30 guns. Just some more of the 1,600 illegal guns we removed off our street. More than 21 this year alone, and more than 21,400 since the beginning of our administration. As we have seen time and time again, violent criminals carrying illegal guns around New York City, they don't hesitate to use them, and oftentimes they're innocent people who are the victims of these shootings. Even during the day, with children are mere feet away from them, you see the continuation of the display of a total disregard for public safety on our street. Public safety has been our administration's top priority. And it's good to have partners in the federal agencies who are joining us in this priority on how important it is to keep our city safe. Because when we have broken down silos in intense and close collaboration with our law enforcement partners, it's the best way to rid the streets of the violent gangs. Our strategy continues to work. The first 3 months of this quarter, we witnessed the least amount of shootings in the recorded history of this city. And it's because we're taking dangerous people off the street like here. Breaking, shooting, and homicide records, making our city safe for 5 straight quarters of crime reduction is no accident. The smart policing. Now, this is the results of leadership, strategy, and the hard work of our entire administration. We remain the safest big city in America because of that, as well as a haven for hardworking immigrants and their families who deserve safety and justice in this community. And I always say, we enforce criminal and immigration laws because that's what we will do. As Tom indicated, he's never asked the NYPD to enforce civil immigration. He asked them to be partners in dealing with the criminal investigation, and that is what we will continue to do. And today's takedown is a perfect example of why this is so important. These gangs prey on all kinds of victims, including immigrants. Who have often fled gang violence to seek safety for their families here in U.S. We will not tolerate violent criminals wreaking havoc in our city, no matter where you are from. And we will protect law-abiding New Yorkers no matter what. And I think what Tom stated is really going over the head of so many. He stated, let's go where the criminals are. If we are saying over and over again, you don't want ICE in schools, churches, you don't want ICE in places of employment in other areas, then collaborate to go where the criminals are. That's the goal that we want to accomplish as we continue to make our city safe. And I, again, want to thank our partners who have allowed us to do this. And as an American, and as a former member of the New York City Police Department, and as a nephew of an uncle who died protecting this country is for those who believe in our rule of law, our principles, and are here to provide a life for themselves. It is not a safe haven for criminal behavior. And it's time for all of us to ask the question, particularly those who are in government, that find it more convenient to have a tequila drink with someone who's a gang member. Which side are you on? I know the side I'm on. I'm on the side of law-abiding people who are in this country. I cannot thank you guys enough for the job that you've done. Let's continue to make this city the safest big city in America. Thank you. Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. I want to start by thanking Darren McCormack, the acting HSI Special Agent in Charge, of course, Mayor Adams, and all of our federal partners here today, especially those on the HSI Violent Gang Task Force, who helped bring this case forward. And of course, to our Chief of Detectives, Joe Kenny, and lead detective from our team, Gabriel Echeverria. For the first time ever, federal RICO charges have been brought against members of Tren de Aragua, a brutal, violent gang who have terrorized our city since at least 2023. This is a massive takedown of some very, very bad people. 27 gang members have been indicted, with 23 currently in custody, and we're hot on the trail of the remaining 4. Charges include racketeering, drug trafficking, robbery, weapons charges, and sex trafficking, and we seized 33 illegal guns. For context, here is a timeline of TDA in New York City. TDA first arrived here about 2 years ago and began committing a string of coordinated robberies using scooters as getaway vehicles. They attacked people on the streets for their wallets, their purses, their watches, anything that they could get their hands on. These robberies were connected, networked, and they were citywide. And they were committed by ghost perps, newly arrived to our city from the southern border, no criminal history in New York, no pictures, no DNA, no fingerprints in the system, and no permanent address. They were issued IDs when they entered our shelter system, but they would swap them freely. So when they finally got arrested and went before a judge, no matter how brutal the robbery they committed was, their lack of criminal history, combined with New York State's bail laws, meant that they were released, free to continue their violent spree. But our officers on the HSI Violent Gang Task Force kept after them, and we doubled the task force's numbers. TDA had their full attention. Then, as the mayor mentioned, on January 27th, 2024, outside of a migrant shelter in Times Square, multiple TDA members viciously attacked 2 of our cops right in the middle of the street. 12 were arrested in connection with that attack, and we kept working. And then in June of 2024, while attempting to make an arrest of this robbery pattern in the 115 precinct, 2 of our officers were shot by one of these fleeing suspects. Our cops, thank God, survived and were able to take the perp into custody, but it just showed the lengths that these criminals would go to avoid justice. These are killers who are trained to shoot cops and anyone else who stands in the way of their criminal enterprise. But they are no match for the New York City Police Department. This investigation uncovered, and the indictments unsealed yesterday described, a widespread violent network responsible for multiple shootings, home invasions, carjackings, and sex trafficking. They targeted vulnerable women from Venezuela, forcing them into sex work and threatening to kill their families if they didn't comply. These are depraved criminals, trafficking in people, in guns, in drugs, and in fear, and with absolutely no regard for human life. Investigators executed arrest warrants in multiple precincts, including one that brought in a national fugitive. This individual was wanted for a violent gang-led takeover of an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. The picture of him holding a rifle, terrorizing the people in those apartments, went viral. That same weapon was recovered in the Bronx in November, when we arrested multiple suspects from Aurora with 3 assault rifles, 2 handguns, and 330 rounds of ammunition. And this case wasn't limited to one fugitive or one faction. Some of those arrested were members of Anti-Tren, a splinter group of former TDA members who broke off but kept the same violent playbook. Of course, our criminal group database was an important tool used to understand associations and rivalries throughout this investigation. It helped connect key players, identify patterns, and build the broader conspiracy case that you're seeing today. And of the 27 gang members we're indicting in this case, every single one of them was in the criminal group database. It's how precision policing gets done. And another reminder of just how dangerous and irrational the city council's calls to abolish this tool really are. Tren de Aragua came to New York City to build something, but they never got the chance. Every time they surfaced, the NYPD and our federal partners were there, shutting them down. This year alone, we have taken down 5 major cases tied to TDA and seized 108 illegal guns from 42 individuals. Since 2023, we've made 412 arrests, 118 for robbery, 5 for murder. So, to the investigators, the detectives, the federal agents who worked this case all back there, thank you. You saved lives. It prevented the next shooting, the next robbery, the next murder, and it made our city and our nation safer.
Thank you, Commissioner Tisson. Thank you to all of our partners here in this case. This is a major win for public safety in New York City. And it didn't happen by accident. It happened because we worked together across all levels of government to dismantle this violent and dangerous organization and stop them from preying on communities. We are one team with one mission, and that is keeping people safe. Tren de Aragua is not just another gang. It is a terrorist organization, a criminal enterprise known for brutal violence, human trafficking, drug dealing, and terrorizing communities. New Yorkers know this all too well. Since this gang first arrived on our radar, we have seen them threaten our neighbors and our businesses with drive-by thefts on mopeds, and scooters. We have seen guns and dangerous pink drugs flood our streets. We have witnessed Tren de Agua members shoot 2 of our finest simply for doing their job, and that is keeping New Yorkers safe. And I remember that night. I remember, Mayor, when we were in the hospital room watching that body camera, and one of the officers that was shot in his vest, he said, "I'm okay. I need you to go. My partner's been hit in the leg." Unbeknownst to those 2 officers that they just encountered a terrorist on our street. The crimes weren't isolated to incidents. They were a deliberate campaign to spread fear, violence, and disorder on our streets. New Yorkers deserve better than that, to live in fear on our streets. And the only way to dismantle a global threat like Tren de Agua is the strong partnership and targeted operations like this one here today. Mayor Adams and Commissioner Tish's Police Department will not allow divisions to get in the way of public safety. When we partner with the federal authorities on criminal matters, we strengthen our ability to go after violent criminals. We're talking about people engaged in human trafficking, pushing deadly drugs, and bringing guns into our neighborhoods. Let me be clear. We are going to go after you and every person who is causing harm to anyone in New York City. And we will continue to build partnerships that keep New Yorkers safe and make this the safest big city in America. This kind of teamwork, that makes the dream work. Mr. Mayor, I remember back in 24, you just mentioned a little while ago in January 24, when you were talking to me and Chief Shell at the time, and you asked us and you tasked us to develop a strategy to go after TDA. You told us to work with any agency, and I remember this clear as yesterday. You said work with any agency that is going to keep all of New Yorkers safe, and they criticize you for that. But here is the successful result for working with our federal partners, right here in front of you. We will not allow terrorist organizations to operate unchecked in this great city, the greatest city in the world. We will not stop going after criminals who think they can bring fear into our neighborhoods. This team will find you and we will bring you to justice. And we will continue to work with our partners to protect New Yorkers and to continue to make this the safest big city in New York and America. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the press conference. I want to thank our partners and thank all of you for joining us today to celebrate and highlight the collaboration between HSI and NYPD and the rest of the federal, state, and local partners. Mr. Homan's going to stick around for a few minutes to answer any policy-related questions.
Mr. Homan, you're Shimon Prokopetz from CNN. How do you square the two? You have your HSI agents, your ERO officers out there going after, the hardline criminals, but then you're also seeing them at college campuses, at residences of college students, all for political speech, accusations of potential, possibly because they were protesting. The other thing, you have people that are being taken into custody that are here on student visas, just off of summonses, being summoned for traffic stops, being told they have to leave. These are people who've been in this country for many years, part of our education system, all being told to leave, and some are leaving. Some are fighting them opposite. But how do you square the two? I mean, you have images like
yeah, that's right. 8 questions. But bottom line is the college students, their visas are being suspended because the State Department believes in national security threats.
Not all.
And it's not about what they say, it's about what they say and what they do. First Amendment rights, I can't stay in a movie theater at night and claim fire. There's a limit. When you come to this country on a visa or become a resident alien, that's a privilege that comes with certain responsibilities.
Yeah,
now, I'm not with the State Department. I didn't make the decision on to cancel those visas. But our job is, when you cancel those visas, they're removed from the country.
Right.
As far as the others you talk about, we are forced in the community because of sanctuary cities. There's New York City, I'll say it again, New York City, you're a sanctuary city, you're a sanctuary for criminals, because we can't arrest a bad guy in Rikers Island, for God's sakes. We got to go and they have them find them. I said from day one, ICE is going to enforce the law, unlike the Lax administration who says ICE can't arrest an illegal alien for simply being here illegally. they're rewriting federal law. No, ICE agents took an oath to enforce immigration laws, and we go find the bad guy, and they will. If he's with others, they're coming too. Prioritization doesn't mean maybe I prioritize my family life over my work life. I don't forget my work life. We're prioritizing public safety threats and national security, and that's what we're doing. The data proves it.
But the students who are just getting traffic summonses, do you think they're national security threats?
I'm not involved with investigation. I can tell you we're going to force immigration.
Don't you think that
Prioritization doesn't mean forget about everybody else in the country legally. It's not okay to be in this country legally.
Okay,
It's not okay to enter this country
they're not
legally.
here illegally, right? They're here on student visas. But
Well, we can talk case by case, but every case is different. I can't put them all in one bucket. I don't know the details of every investigation. ICE and Border to arrest thousands of people a day. I'm not familiar with every investigation.
But do you think it at all hurts this agency that is doing this kind of work to have it with images, wearing masks, stopping college students, taking them wherever? Do you think that
I think the American people elected Donald Trump to enforce immigration laws is exactly what we're doing. We're doing what the American people voted for. It's not okay to be in this country legally.
Mr. Homan, I want to ask you about illegal, those who cross the border illegally. Would you want to deport somebody who crossed the border illegally, regardless of whether they committed a crime? And you mentioned ICE on Rikers. If ICE doesn't reopen their office on Rikers, what would you do? I mean, what would you want the city to do? What would you want the mayor to do?
It means we'll put more agents on the streets in New York. We're going to get the bad guy regardless. We'd like to give him, look, we didn't decide to lock him on Rikers Island. The local authorities said, why? Obviously, you're a public safety threat. And I think any member of the city council who's going to sue to end that agreement, based on what you see, this is just one example of what collaboration means. Why would you not want ICE to take possession of a terrorist member, a gang member, a public safety threat in the safety and security of a jail? It's safer for the officer. It's safer for the alien. It's certainly safer for New York. We arrest a bad guy in the jail.
And deport somebody that doesn't need to be deported at that point?
Pardon me?
Couldn't they make a mistake like we've seen already?
There's been no mistakes.
Well, the federal government has made a mistake with at least one person.
Look, the details of that investigation argue that. The details, they missed the documentation show this guy the withholding removal. That was years ago. So what's withholding removal based on? Number one, doesn't qualify for terrorists. So off the table right there. Number two, the gang he was fearing of, it no longer exists. So the situation surrounding that case has changed. So I stand by the fact that this guy, this El Salvadoran national criminal alien gang member terrorist, is home.
And then following up on, if somebody crosses the border illegally and is here, would you still want to deport them even though they haven't committed a
Absolutely, they committed a crime. Enter the country illegally is a crime.
What do you expect?
Well,
It-
Well, it's not really. They have asylum. They have paroled into the.
See, this is what you never cover.
I
Look at the immigration court data. Clearly shows 9 out of 10 people who make asylum claim end up with the order removal because they simply don't qualify for asylum. And people say, well, it's just innocent illegal immigration. But when you flood the border like the last administration does, where 70% on average of agents were off the line, what happened? 600% increase in sex trafficking of women and children. 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl. A record number of people on terrorist watch lists crossing the border. Bad things happen when you lose control of the border. So what you call innocent illegal immigration, not criminals, it causes all these other bad things to happen because the criminal cartels have operational control of the border, not the men and women of the Border Patrol. President Trump, like him or hate him, he did in 6 weeks what the Biden administration couldn't or wouldn't do in 4 years. Right now, today, as I'm talking to you, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation. We did that in 6 weeks. So President Trump has proven. The last administration lied about a secure border. We showed them what a secure border looks like now. 95% decline, most secure border in our lifetime. ICE has arrested 3 times more criminals than the Biden administration has done. So men and women of ICE are sticking to priorities, public safety threats, national security threats, but if you're in the country legally, you're not off the table.
Following up on the catch and revoke efforts of the local HSI office, are NYPD officers involved that are assigned to the task force? Are they also working on the catch and revoke efforts that are being targeted here with the local HSI field office?
I don't understand. Say that again?
The catch and revoke efforts that are
Catch and
targeting
revoke.
students that HSI is involved with that were just the question that was just
You mean the
asked.
students?
Yeah, the students.
The students. Are NYPD officers assigned to the HSI task force also involved in those efforts?
No.
How big is the difference in
These
approach?
suspects,
Because here you
these suspects, are they going to be tried or deported?
That's up to the local district attorney. And now some are going to be prosecuted federally. It depends. That's what collaboration looks like.
Can you explain the difference in approach here? You're bringing a RICO case against gang members. In other areas, the administration has preferred to bypass the courts and just put them on airplanes.
No, they don't bypass the courts. The local field office always works with a local prosecutor, a federal prosecutor. If they want to continue the prosecution, they do a writ and take them back into custody. Many times the prosecutors, you know what? Deport them. We'd rather have them deported.
In all these cases?
Not all these cases. I'm just saying it's case by case with thousands of cases a week, right? Where the local field office works with the local prosecutors and the federal prosecutor, if it's the federal criminal investigation, federal prosecution, to coordinate. Do you want to keep them for prosecution? We can make that happen. Do a writ, take them back into custody. But ICE collaborates with the prosecutors on what the next steps are going to be. But the end game is going to be, if they're in the United States illegally, they're going to be deported.
But I think in some of the cases in the habeas petitions, you haven't argued that you've brought these people into collaboration with prosecutors who've made a deliberate decision to bypass prosecution. You've just said you're a gang member and you're on a plane. Is that what am I?
Well, you're talking about people removed on the Alien Enemies Act. It's a totally different ballgame. The Alien Enemies Act, and a lot of people are talking about, President Trump invoked the authorities he has on the Alien Enemies Act, a law that was passed by Congress, written by Congress, passed by Congress as a statute. The difference between the Trump administration and the last administration, we're using laws on the books. We're not making this up. We're enforcing laws on the books, using every tool we got to remove terrorists from this country.
Do you think Mayor Adams has done enough to collaborate with ICE, or would you like to see more?
I would like to see more, but I know he's in a tough position when you got a city council fighting him all the way. Plus, you got a governor that doesn't support what we're doing here today. I mean, as soon as they found out that a mayor was going to work with us to get in Rikers Island, you got the governor come down and try to get him removed from office, and the city council is following. Look, anybody from the city council here today? Speak up. Find that strange? No member of city council is here today to look at what collaboration means. Well, they're going to sue the administration, stop us from going to Rikers Island. Regardless of what the judge decides, or regardless of what the city council thinks, there is no sanctuary in the United States for Tren de Agua MS-13. Either you let us into jail in the safety and security of a jail and take them into custody that makes New York City safer, rather than what we saw here, or we get them on the street.
And what more would you like? What more from the government would you like?
Last question.
There are hundreds of thousands of children that were trafficked in this country in the last administration. Many are missing. And I'm hoping the NYPD will help us find some of these children. Some are in sex trafficking. We already found some. Some are in forced labor. We already found some. Not all of them. Some will be with family members. But I would like the NYPD, who has one of the best intelligence divisions in the world, to help us find some of these victims of trafficking. I think that'd be a game winner for everybody involved.
You talked about collateral arrests. Can you say how many collateral arrests were involved in this 27, or give us an update on the field officer's efforts in the past 2 months since interagency team started making arrests in New York City?
Well, the rest will arrest as many as time.
How many?
We're not going to walk away from what we're doing.
How many were involved in the 27?
All right, everyone, thank you so much.
One on the very end, right? Front? Yeah.
I'm so sorry to bother you.